Action. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Extra Time Podcast with me, Ethan. I'm joined as usual by Youssef and Matthew. Got a very special guest this week, the first ever Welshman to referee at the Millennium Stadium, and my grandfather. How are you, Grandad?
Very good, thank you. Thank you for inviting me, boys.
No problem. So we thought we'd pick your brains on VAR in this
Okay.
episode. So Youssef, Matthew, I know you're avid fans of the Premier League in terms of your teams. Is there any VAR decisions recently that have stood out to you two that you want to inquire about?
Well, I mean, when Target, when Matt Target rugby tackled Bamford in like the 95th minute in the box, I was really confused how that wasn't given as a penalty or wasn't checked at all, because they're clearly appealing. So I think they have to check it as it's the 95th minute just to see. And if it's not, well, at least they've checked.
So,
Yeah.
do you know what the protocol is? As in, do they check every tackle that's gone in on the box, or what's the rules there?
I think it's basically the rule is when there's a clear and obvious mistake. And then this refer, or I think the referee at the side of the ground informs the referee that he should decide to go to VAR or come and have a look on the pitch side monitor.
Yeah. So obviously there were the complaints last season that the pitch side monitors weren't being used enough.
Yes.
In the recent matches, we've been seeing players going up to the pitch side monitor whilst the referee's there. Is that allowed? Should that be allowed?
It shouldn't be, but I think the referee has got enough trouble looking at the monitor, so he couldn't see what's going on behind him.
Yeah.
Possibly there should be some other way of policing that, so that the players don't go to that. Aside from that, I think VAR has helped to. There's less. How can I say? Players hassling the referees, because they obviously know it's going to be on the VAR. So I think there's less of that.
Yeah. When it comes to offsides as well, do you think that's improved? Because obviously with offsides you do get the tight ones, like the Liverpool goal last night, was it? But there's always like a kind of right or wrong answer with offside. So would you say that's improved?
I think you, excuse me, I think you're getting more fair decisions on offside. They're either on or off, because fans, I know fans are still not happy if it goes against their side. You know, for example, a hand is in front of the ball or whatever. But what I would say, in the past, my experience of running the line, it's very difficult to always be completely in line, because your problem is you're moving down the touch line, so you're looking where you're going, but you've also got to be able to look across at the same time, and it's very difficult for a linesman to see if a player's offside, because they can judge depth, if you see what I mean, if they're in front of the defence. But it's from the line, it's difficult to decide on width, whether they are interfering near enough to be interfering.
Yeah.
So I think VAR has helped getting more fair decisions on offside, but fans still don't like it if it goes against their side.
Yeah, you've been mentioning to me in the week about you think that the refs have been a bit indecisive, as in the VAR has made them second guess their decisions. Do you?
Yeah, I think what it has done is that referees have got a cop out in one way, that it can go to VAR, or it will go to VAR. So I think some of the decisions they're making, is it could be seen, or it doesn't matter, because I can always go to VAR. But to me, that's not doing it's not helping stand as a referee. because I do think that generally standing as a refereeing is not as good as perhaps it was, say, 5 years ago.
Yeah, some of the big referees have left, haven't they? You got the
Yes,
likes
you've
of like
got
Mark
your
Clattenburg.
Michael Oliver, who I'm very impressed with. Mike Dean has been for years. Martin Atkinson again. Funnily enough, we saw Martin Atkinson's first game many years ago. Your dad was there, and Gareth and David and Clive and Philip. We went to see Aston Villa and Spurs at Villa Park, and Martin Atkinson was doing his first game there.
Yeah, so
I know that's nothing to do with VAR. Sorry.
no, don't worry about it. A quick question on the linesman.
Yeah.
Do you find that more players are offside the higher the level you ref, or the more players are offside the lower the level you ref?
It tended to be, it was tighter. The better level you get to, the tighter the decisions were. The defenders were better getting players caught offside.
So, just talking about your career in general in refereeing, do you want to tell our listeners like what you've done, what some of the big games and the leagues you've covered in?
Okay, I basically I started in the local leagues in Wales, in the Gwent leagues, and then I moved through that into the National Welsh League, and then as a result of performances in that league, I moved on to what used to be called the football combination, which was the football league's second teams, and the Vauxhall Conference, which is now the National League, I think. So I had a few years doing that. I went to Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, those sort of places. I also went to Swindon, where Glenn Hoddle was manager of Swindon, and he played in the reserves.
Wow.
Played centre half, one of the best centre halves I've ever seen play, because he was playing 50-yard balls from the position of centre half. He was superb. I also, Charlie Nicholas was playing for Arsenal at Reading. He the manager of Arsenal at the time was Stuart Houston, a Scotsman who played for Manchester United. And Stuart came in as normal, 2:30 with a team sheet. He had crossed off Charlie Nicholas and put someone else in. And then 5 minutes to 3, he came back in and asked the referee, I was on the line that day, asked the referee, could he change it because a Charles Nicholas had just turned up. And apparently he'd been out in London in the nightclubs the night before and was late to get into Arsenal.
Oh dear.
So the referee said, you can't, because it's past the half hour before the kickoff. So, but I said to the referee and fellow Welshman, I said, surely, according to my watch, it's only 2:25. So I was saying a bit of a white fib.
Oh.
So they allowed Charlie Nicholas to play. He scored 4 goals in the first 12 minutes and then left the field. And Arsenal won the game 4-0.
Wow.
Yeah.
Another weird question. So does I assume the lower level down, it's not really the same, but booking players for celebrations, like have you ever had to punish players for celebrations? Booking for shirts off or anything like that?
No. I sometimes as a referee you tend to turn your blind eye to, you don't cause trouble.
Yeah. I saw an interview with Mike Dean about that. Because he had to book Aguero after he scored the last minute winner to save them for the title.
Yeah.
Yusuf, have you got any questions about refereeing decisions?
Yeah, I've got a big one. It's the Brighton one with Lewis Dunk taking that free kick.
Oh.
It's the Brighton one with Lewis Dunk's free kick.
Yeah.
How would you react to that if you were the referee?
I think, I think, unfortunately, it's been interpreted incorrectly because what the referee did, I think he probably lost a little bit of concentration as well, because he placed the free kick and blew the whistle. So Lewis Dunk was quite right to be able to take it. The problem is that Lee Mason, the referee, then immediately it was kicked, spotted that the goalkeeper was still organising his defence and was way off his line.
So is the
So-
rule that they have to be? Is the rule that they have to be on the line?
No, not only for a penalty. But
Oh.
what I'm saying is he was out of position and he was still sorting his defence out. Now, the problem is then that Lee Mason blew his whistle again.
Which rules the goal out, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then, of course, the ball had gone in the net. Brighton were celebrating, obviously. And then West Brom, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all appealing and whatever, but they didn't defend properly because they heard the whistle go a second time. So VAR became involved then because Lee Mason decided to go over and have a look. And they informed him that the ball hadn't gone across the line to go into the net. So VAR could get involved.
But those are the kind of things that, in theory, that could cost Brighton.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I agree. And it was. I'm sure if Lee Mason had his time again, he wouldn't have done that.
No, definitely.
But the bit is that if it had already crossed the line, VAR couldn't have got involved
Oh. Well, how does that work then?
because it was a goal. It was in the net.
Oh, so they can't.
Depending on when he blew the whistle.
Oh, okay, right. I understand that.
But it was very scrappy, wasn't it? It was
Yeah.
a very unsatisfactory, certainly from Brighton's point of view.
Yeah, and it will cost them massively. I know it would have not maybe affected the game as much because they were far ahead at that point. But those are the kind of things that will cost them the season. So, Grandad, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a real good insight into the refereeing game and the VAR as well. So, thank you very much for that.
We could talk for another 2 weeks on it, I think.
Yeah, true. Oh, God knows what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks with VAR.
Can I just say one thing? When it was introduced, we all thought, there'll be no more controversy. There'll be no talking about football incidents. There'll be no sports writers in the paper because they'll have nothing to write about. Well, I think the opposite has happened. We're talking more about it now, and a matter of opinion. It's still a matter of opinion, and that's what makes the game so great.
Yeah, it's kind of taking out the human element in a way.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
so we're going to have to end it there. Thank you so much for joining, as we said. If you want to get in contact with us in the week, it will be on Instagram and Twitter. And also follow us on YouTube. That's to the listeners. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great week. See us on Sunday as a look back over the weekend. We've got the Manchester Derby to look at. So enjoy until then.